Hello everyone, myself Dr. Upendra Kumar. I am assistant professor in computer science and engineering department. So, I am going to discuss about file handling in C programming. So, basically this is very important topic of C programming. So, how we can handle the file operations in C programming. Just if we talk about in the simple programs, what we generally write down in our study, that whatever the input and output operations we take, that takes only a small number of lines, and what happens, we can take the input from the console and we can print out in the console. But what happen if we have a large text amount to be printed in the console, and also if we want to store something in our local system, local hard disk system. So, in that case we will use file handling in C programming. So, just see how we can use the file handling functions in C programming. Now, introduction. So, what is files? So, file is what? So, file represents a sequence of bytes on the disk where a group of related data is stored. Just see here, we want the output in which we have a large number of lines available, we want to store in our local system. That can be done with the help of files. If we are able to create a file, if we are able to write down something on the file, and if we are able to save it on our local disk. So, that is what the file handling methods provide the facility over here. Now, so if we want to perform some file operations, file handling operations. So, in that case we have to create a structure file variable. So, this is a well known structure which is already inbuilt in C programming, name is file, F-I-L-E. So, this is the inbuilt structure. Now, any operation in file handling that can be performed with this file structure. So, we will declare a pointer variable of this structure. So, here we have declared file is a structure, and then asterisk fp is a pointer variable. So, using this pointer file structure variable, we are able to do any kind of operations in file in C programming, like opening the file, creating the file, and writing down something, reading something and updating something. So, all these operations can be performed using this file pointer. Now, just see here, this is how we can declare it. Now, file handling in C enables us to create, update, read and delete the files stored on the local file system through our C program. So, this is very important variable which is actually taking care of all these type of operations in file handling. Now, just see what kind of functions a file handling file handling tool provide in C programming. Just see, first function is fopen. So, if we want to open a existing file or we want to create a new file, in that case we will use fopen function. Just see here, there are various modes which will be discussed in later on in the next slide. So, there are various modes in which we can create a file. If you want to open a file in only reading mode, then in that case we have a R mode available. If you want to open a file in writing mode, so for that we have a W mode available. So, there are various modes available to open a particular existing file. Now, another function is fprintf. So, this is specifically a function which write down something into your file. Now, fscanf, this is the function which is basically used to read out something from the file. So, you want to read some string, some constant values, some variable, some value. So, in that case we will use the fscanf function. Now, fputc. Now, just see, this function is being used to write some character into the file. Now, fgetc, it is being used to read the character from the file. Now, the fclose, now fclose function is required once we are finished with all the things, like we have done all kind of operations that is required in our program, and now at the last line we have to call this function fclose in order to close that particular file, in order to release the resources that is handled by that particular file. Now, the another function is fseek. So, it sets the file pointer to the given position. Suppose we are working on a particular file, we are at a position. Now, there is a need to move on a particular point of the file. So, in that case we will use fseek function. So, it sets the file pointer to the given position over here. Now, f put w. So, w is what? It is for basically used for writing down the integer value. So, if you want to write an integer value to the file, so we will use this function. F get w, if you want to read out some integer value from the file, so we will use this function. Now, f tell. So, basically this function returns the current position. Suppose currently I am working on some file, we want to know about the current position of our cursor. So, how can we know that? By using this function f tell. So, it will returns the current position. Now, the last function is rewind. So, sets the file pointer to the beginning of the file. Suppose if you are working on a particular file, we are writing down something or we are reading something. Now, we want to come back to the beginning of the file. So, in that case we will use rewind function. So, basically it sets the file pointer to the beginning of the file. Now, just already I have told in previous slide that what are different modes which are required to pass on fopen function. So, these are the various modes which are required to pass on fopen function. Just see here, if we are providing R mode. So, just see fopen, how we can use this function. So, first of all the file pointer we have declared earlier. Now, fp is equal to, so fopen function. Now, this then the file, suppose file name is test.txt, double quote, we will put double quote inside within the double quote here. Now, the mode. So, if you want to open this file in reading mode, so within single quote we will provide this mode over here. Now, just see what will happen if we open this file test.txt in reading mode. So, it will open this text file in reading mode. So, only reading operation can be performed and nothing else can be performed. The another point is that suppose we want to open this file, but this file does not exist in our local system. So, what will happen? So, it will return null in case of if you are providing the read mode over here. Similarly, instead of read mode we can write the w mode, write mode. So, basically it opens a text file in the write mode. So, in case of this one we can perform the write operation on this text file. The difference between these two that if this file test.txt does not exist in case of this one w. So, it will try to automatically create this name file test.txt, while in case of R it will return null, but in case of w it will try to create this particular name file in local disk. Now, the third is A for append. So, opens a text file in append mode. So, basically it is also being used to write down something on the file, but the difference between w and A is that if we open a file in w mode, write mode. So, what will happen? Suppose the file which you want to open in write mode, that has already existing some content. So, in write mode what will happen? It will open that particular file and it will erase out all the content, previous content on that file. While in case of append, what will happen? It will not erase out all those contents. The contents will remain same while opening the file. And another difference is that, so the cursor in case of append, suppose something is written in the file. So, the cursor will be placed on the last location of that file, particular file. So, whatever the new thing will be added, it will be appended after this location, while in case of w mode it will start writing down from the scratch. So, all the previous content will be erased over here. So, this is the difference between W and A. Now, R plus basically it opens a text file in reading mode as well as the write mode, both mode it is being used. Now, W plus the same thing, it opens a text file in read mode as well as the write mode. So, what is the difference between these two, R plus and W2? The same difference. In case of R plus, if that particular name file does not exist in local system, so it will return null, while in case of W plus it will try to create that particular file with that name. So, this is the difference. Now, A plus is what? Is the same, it opens the text file in read mode and not write mode, but it will be said as append mode also. So, read mode and the append mode. Now, RB. So, these are the modes which are being used for the binary files, and these are the modes, the upper these are the nodes which are being used for the text files. So, for the binary files are different from the text files. So, we think that the binary files have large amount of data present in for the file. Now, RB is what? For reading. So, opens a binary file in read mode. WB opens a file in write mode, same thing as we have used in the text file. AB, so opens a binary file in append mode. So, RB plus opens a binary file in read and write mode. So, WB plus opens a binary file in read and write mode. So, AB plus opens a binary file in read and append mode, and append mode. So, these are the various modes which are being actually used in fopen function. Now, just see how we can perform the operations of on the file. Now, see before starting to perform some operations on the file, we have to declare a file pointer. So, just see, already we have discussed file, then a pointer, file pointer. Now we can do any kind of operation. Now, here we are calling fopen function. So, what fopen function does here? It open a file name name.txt in W mode, in writing mode, just it is opening the file. Now, fopen function, if we call fopen function, so what this function does? So, it firstly searches the file to be opened. It will search out that this particular file inside the local system. If it does not present, then it will try to create that function. Once it has found out, now then it loads the file from the disk and place it onto the buffer. So, what now if the file is reaches to the buffer, now it is available to perform the operations. Now, the third point is it sets up a character pointer which points to the first character of the file. And the third important point is that once the file is open, so what it does, it places the cursor to the first point of that particular file, beginning of that file. That is what the fopen function does over here. Now, how we can perform the reading operations? Just see here, the file read operations can be performed using the function either fscanf or fget. So, either we can use fscanf function or we can use fgets function for reading out something from the file. Just see here, we have declared a file pointer, then file is open in reading mode over here. Just see, now we are reading 3 strings. We have used 3 format specifier for the strings and 1 for the integer. So, we are reading 3 strings from the file, and fourth one is the integer value from the file. So, we are basically reading 4 values from the file. First 3 values are of a string type and the last one of integer type. Just see here, we have also passed this file pointer inside this fscanf function. Just see here, without using passing this file pointer to this function, we cannot perform this kind of operation over here. Now, this is what about the reading operation. Now, how we can perform the writing operation into the file? The same thing, what we are doing here, we are just calling this function fopen function, and we are opening this file in writing mode. Just here, see here, we have opened reading mode for reading purpose, we have opened here for writing mode for the writing purpose. So, we are writing down what? We are writing down 3 strings and 1 integer value. So, 3 strings what? We are in. So, we are writing these 3 strings and 1 integer value 2012 in this particular file, and we are also passing this file pointer over here. So, this is how we have used fprintf function. So, in place of fprintf we can also use fputs. Here just see, in place of fscanf function we can also use fgets over here. So, now this is all about the writing of the file. Once we have performed all kind of operations and we have nothing to perform on that particular file, now we have to call the fclose function over here. So, now here just see, we have called fclose function and we have also provide the that particular file pointer which we want to close it down now. Now, next is how we can perform the input and operations output operations on the file. So, these reading and writing operations can also be performed with the help of getC and putC function. This is what? This is the taking character from the file, and this is what? Taking the writing the character onto the file. Just see here, we have used a file pointer fp, and we have opened this particular file in writing mode. Now, we are asking the user to enter the characters, and if the user has entered the character on console, so it is being get from get by using the get character method. Now, this get character this will return this will store the value in ch. Now, this character will be written down, since we have opened this file in w mode, writing mode. So, this character will be written down in this file. So, how we can write it? Using the put c function. Just see here, put c, we are passing the character which we want to write down, and we are also passing the pointer, file pointer, in which file we want to write down. So, file pointer is fp, fp is referencing which file, this text.txt. So, now just see here, so this while loop will run until till we are giving the inputs from the console, and those characters will be written down in this particular file. Once it is completed, we will call fclose function over here. Now, everything is written over here. Now, we do not want to add more items over here. Now, we want to read it out what we have written till now. So, for that purpose, we will call this fopen function to open the same file which we have written earlier, the same file in reading mode over here. Now, we will read out character by character from the file. How we can do it? By using get c function. So, we are passing this file pointer, and using get c function, it will read out character by character, and now this character will be printed over here. So, whatever the character we will read out from the file, it will be printed on the console. Just see here, it will run until we reach to end of the file. So, end of file is a pointer which is telling the compiler that we are reached till the last point of the file. So, now after printing all the contents, we have passed fclose function over here. So, this just see here, the output will be whatever we will write down here, that will be printed on the console. This is all about the input output operations on the file. This kind of operations can also be performed using the function fprintf and fscanf. So, just see here, fprintf for what? Fprintf for writing down something on the file, and fscanf is what? So, reading out something from the file. Just see here, we have used two file pointers. So, first we have opened this file with append mode. Why we have used append mode? So, we are considering that this fun.txt file has already some written content, previous content also. So, here we will whatever we will write with, that will be appended after that. So, we are appending only one record over here. What we are adding? We are entering the name, we are asking the name of the user, age of the user, and then simply we are taking inputs from the console, and these values are being written into the file. Just see here how we can write it into the file using the fprintf function. So, this fprintf function is being used to write down these values to the file using the pointer p. Just see here, p is a pointer of that file. Now, name and age both will be write down. Now, once we have write down, we will call a fclose function over here. Now, we have something. We had already something in previous content on the file, and now we have added one more line over here. Now, we want to read out what are the written inside that particular file. So, this operation now perform. So, we will call a function fscanf. So, read out something. So, do fscanf. So, first we read out name, and then we read out the age, and with the help of what? The q pointer. Just see here, file pointer is a pointer which has opened this file in reading mode. Just see. So, now reading mode is open. So, we can read out all the things from the file by using fscanf function. Just see here, once we have read out, it will be printed now on the console. So, using the printf function %s, %d. So, e dot name, e dot age. So, these values will be printed on the console. So, this loop, actually this is a do while loop we are using here. This loop will run until we will reach the end of file. So, fe of f function is a well defined function in C file handling library, which if it returns a 0, it returns a 0, it means the end of file is not reached. If it returns a non-zero value, it means the end of file is reached. So, it will be completed, and it will be print all the contents of file on the console. This is how we can use fprintf function and fscanf function to read out something from the file and to write down something into the file. So, now the difference between the append mode and the write mode already I have discussed in our previous slide. So, if you open the file in writing mode, whatever the previous content will be available, that will be totally erased out and the cursor will start freshly from the first beginning of the file, while in case of append whatever the content previous content available in the file, that will remain unchanged and the cursor point will start from the last character of that particular file. So, this is the difference between the append mode and write mode. So, already we have discussed. Now, just see here how till now we have discussed all kind of file handling operations for the text files. So, for that we have used fscanf, fprintf, fscanf for taking reading out something, fprintf for writing down something. Similarly, fgets, fputs, getc, putc, all those functions are being used for the text file handling methods. Now, we want to discuss about the binary file. So, binary file is what? A binary file is very much similar to the text file, but it contains only the large numerical data. So, if we talk about it has a large numerical data, in that case it is considered as a binary file. So, for reading and writings we use different methods over here. For reading fread and for writing down we use fwrite functions. So, just see here how these functions are being used. So, just see fwrite function. So, this function is being used to write down something into the binary file, and the modes already we have discussed. So, if we talking about modes, reading modes, so reading mode for it is BR, for writing mode it is BWs and so on. So, already we have discussed in our previous slide. Now, if you want to write down write something, so we will call a fwrite function. So, this fwrite function will have 4 arguments. Just see what are those arguments. First is what? Data element to be written, what the text matter, what the numerical matter you want to write down into the file, that variable, that pointer variable will be passed over here. Now, the second is what? The size of each element. Just see here, here is size of each element. So, if you want to write down integers, so size of int will be 4 here. If you want to write down float, so size of float will be 8 over here. So, just see, if you want to write down character, so size of character will be 1 here. Now, the third argument is what? Number of elements. So, if you write down 100 elements, 100 integers, so 1000 integers, so that variable will be passed over here. So, number of elements, and the last is what? The pointer to the file. Which is the file which we want to write down something. So, the file, that particular file pointer variable will be passed over here. Now, see, just see it will be explained by the example here. Now, just see here we have constant, we have declared a variable, pointer variable my text, which of type character. So, basically this is nothing but a character array. So, since we are using a pointer, so this is similar to character array. So, we are declaring constant character array pointer, and we want to write down this sentence, this set of strings into our file, into our binary file. So, here we are declaring a file pointer, and by declaring pointer we are also calling the fopen function. Since it is a binary file, we want to write down something. So, mode will be WB. Just see here. So, just see here. So, this file will be opened in writing mode, since it is a binary file. So, it will be opened in WB mode over here. Just see, now it has, if it has returned okay, it is okay. So, what will happen? So, we will call fwrite function. So, fwrite function, what we want to write down something, this text, this set of string, this text we want to write down. So, this variable is passed over here. Now, since this text contains the characters, so each element is a character. So, here we will pass the size of characters. So, 1 byte will be passed over here. Oh. Now, the third is what? Third is the number of elements. So, since here each element is treated as a character, so here the number of elements will be what? The number of characters present in this text string. So, how we can find out the number of characters? strlen is a function which finds out the number of characters present in a string. So, here we have used strlen function. So, we have passed my text, and the last one is the file pointer to which we want to write down something. So, here this is the pointer BFB. So, we have passed this pointer variable BFB, pointer file structure variable. Just see, so it will write down this sentence into that file. Now, once it is written down, after calling this function, we have called the fclose function for this particular file. Now, just see the another program is how we can print out the files, folders, subdirectories inside a directory using file handling method. Just see here, there is a header file dirent.h which is being which has all defined functions to reading the directory, to count the directory, all kind of functions are written over there. Just see here, we have defined these two header files stdio.h, dirent.h, and inside the main function there is a structure, well defined structure for the directory dir. Just see here, dir pointer d. Now we have another directory structure, direct structure. For that we have declared a pointer variable pointer dir. Now this pointer variable of dir structure is being to open the current directory. So how we can open this current directory? This is this dot point. So this dot will be provided inside double quote. So basically this tells us the compiler that it has to open the current directory. Now once the directory is open, so it will return some non-zero value, mean it is okay. The directory has some inside the directory there are some folders, there are subdirectories, there are some files are there. Now how we can read out the directories or files or folders? So there is a function available in this header file read directory, read dir. So we are passing this pointer variable and it will read out the subdirectories, it will read out the folders, it will read out the files, and it will return to this dir pointer variable. Now if it is not null, so it will be printed over here. So we want to, what we want to print, we don't want to print the content, we just want to print out the name of the folders, name of the directory. So we will use here a arrow operator. So directory arrow, then the directory name d underscore name. So what it will do, it will print the name of all the subfolders, subdirectories and files inside that particular current directory. Now once all the files are, all the directories are printed over here, we will call this close directory function as we have called in previous file handling operations like text files or binary files. We will call this function close directory d. Now so this is what about this will print out all the files, folders inside that current directory. So this is all about to print the names of all the files present in directory. So just see here, we can what we have discussed till now in this lecture, that what are different types of file handling operations that we can perform in C programming in order to read the content from the existing file which is residing in the local system and which can be used to write down something which is in a new file or already existing file. So then we have discussed about the reading and writing operations on the binary files also. So and the third one we have discussed that how we can print the names of all the folders, files and directories that is present in the current directory using file handling method. So thank you very much. This is all about.